Hey, good afternoon and good morning to you. Welcome back to this EA Awareness webinar series. As you've seen in the previous one, we are now already on the third episode. The first one we were sharing with you the benefits of an enterprise agreement for you as a customer. In the second webinar we were talking about the importance of using success tracks to get access to the innovation and your purchase of your enterprise agreement and how to get to the desired outcomes the quickest way possible. But in the introduction we also shared with you that benefits for you as a customer for an enterprise agreement are it's easy to buy, it's easy to manage, and it's easy to consume. Now, how does this look like? How does this easy to manage and how the easy to consume, how does this look like? That's exactly what we're going to cover today in the webinar. And I'm happy to not do this on my own. I'm doing this with subject matter experts on each step of the lifecycle journey for an enterprise agreement. So you've probably seen the racetrack before. The racetrack is how our customers are going through the lifecycle of the purchase that they did with Cisco. And today we're going to look at enterprise agreements on the racetrack and what is happening on each step. And for each step, we're talking to a subject matter expert that will share with us what's happening on those steps, what are the criteria, and when do they hand over to the next team. And the first step that we're going to look after is what happens after the customer bought an enterprise agreement. And for that, we are meeting Piotr from the Portfolio Activation Specialist team. Piotr, welcome.
Hello, Steven. Thank you. My name is Piotr Piekielniak from Portfolio Activation Specialist team, which is part of Customer Experience Organization. And I would like to tell you something about what's happening when the order for enterprise agreement contract is placed and it's booked. So this is the automation process when the case is opened in our systems. So then we can assign these cases to ourselves, and in EMEA, we are divided on theaters. After we assign the case, we are trying to reach out to all the stakeholders, both from Cisco side as account and the sales team, as well as from the partner side. And we are trying to gather all the information if everything what has been booked is also on the place in EA workspace. After that, we are organizing the meeting between Cisco and the partner side, so then we can agree on everything what we are going to cover during onboarding with customer, and if the customer is already familiar with smart account and smart licensing. After
okay,
that,
yes? so I want to understand here. So we have this stakeholder meeting. It's with the Cisco account team and with the partner.
yes.
What is the kind of things that you're discussing there? Is that what is it that the customer want to achieve, or what's going on in that conversation?
Yes, exactly, Steven. We are trying to gather as much information as we can from the beginning, like why the customer decided to sign an EA contract, what are their expectations, and how the onboarding session should look like.
All right. And then what's the next step?
Yeah, so then we agree on who is going to reach out to the customer to schedule the onboarding session, and then we are going to meet with the customer during such activation call.
All right. So the first kickoff meeting is with the stakeholders, with partner and Cisco, but the customer is not in. And the next meeting is when we are reaching out to the customer.
That's true.
Tell me, who does that? Who does the reach out to the customer?
Yeah, I'm going to hand over to Anna because she will cover the steps.
Oh, okay. So we're getting already on the next step in the life cycle journey.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you, Piotr, and welcome to the webinar, Anna. So Piotr was sharing with us the stakeholder meeting with Cisco internal, with the partner, talking about what is that the customer want to achieve. But I'm missing a very important stakeholder, and that is the customer. And Anna, you are actually talking to the customers in that priority meeting, right? Share with us how does that onboarding meeting look like?
Yeah, that's right, Steven. Thank you so much. First of all, that's really a great pleasure to be here with you today. I'm Anna Moos. I'm working together with Piotr on the portfolio activation specialist team. I'm supporting the region Germany in this case. And what do I do on daily basis? So I onboard our customers after they have just purchased an enterprise agreement, right? So I organize a 60-minute call, around 60 minutes, in order to show our customers how they can achieve the maximum of their enterprise agreement investment, right? So one of the topics, most important topics we covered during the onboarding session is, first of all, the smart account administration, right? For the customer, it's really crucial to know who is going to have access to what. And then we go as well to the enterprise agreement workspace. So we definitely log in to the customer smart account. So we go under Cisco Software Central. There we can find all of the important portals. And the most important portal for the customer is definitely the enterprise agreement workspace. So I show the customer how they can navigate the portal, how they can generate, activate the licenses, how they can manage those ones, right? So from there, the customer can generate the licenses either as smart, and then they will be deposited under Smart Software Manager portal. The customer can as well generate the traditional licenses, and then those ones will be generated under Licensing Registration portal. Or if the customer decided to purchase cloud-based products, we generate the licenses into cloud together with the customer. So we are provisioning those licenses, and then from particular dashboards, the customer can get like understanding of what have been thus far provisioned into the cloud.
All right.
So, and another really topic as well, maybe.
Yeah. So really, this easy to manage and easy to consume, that really starts with you. Do I understand well?
We are actually, so to say, the first point of contact for the customer. So this is as well, that's why crucial for the customer to get in touch with us, to accept our invite for the kickoff meeting, because we are the ones taking care of having the right setup for the whole enterprise agreement lifecycle. So we are the one aiming for a successful enterprise agreement journey. And if there are any obstacles, because we as well like lay the ground for a technical adoption. And as we see, for example, that from the licensing perspective, everything is working. We've generated the licenses, the customer is ready, right? But as we see that, for example, from the deployment, from the hardware perspective, there are issues. We are the ones then redirecting, connecting the dots, and involving our internal resources, in this case, customer success managers.
All right. So with that, we are actually moving to the next step in the journey, in the life cycle, because you're mentioning obstacles and you're mentioning customer success, and that's where we are going now in the next cycle, right?
Exactly.
Good. So with that, we are moving on the journey and going to meet Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa, please introduce yourself, your team. What do you guys do?
So us, the customer success team, work on adoption, and that is full utilization of the solution that the customer has purchased. So this means that we are here to make sure that customers are getting the most value out of their investments. Here, it's important not to confuse adoption for usage. Usage would be how frequently or for what purpose a software is used. Adoption, on the other hand, is how fully utilized the software is. So this is what we are here to help with. Typical topics that we support with are what different kinds of licenses and levels customers are entitled to and what they can do with them. We show how the selected use cases can be supportive of the customer journey and as well support their business objectives and outcomes. We also provide...
So I want to make sure that I fully understand. So we started at the beginning with Piotr. He shared with us that the internal stakeholder meeting and they're defining what is it that the customer want to achieve. Then the next step, we're reaching out to the customer and have the first interactions with the customer to get them familiar with the EA workspace and understand what is it that they purchased. And then it goes into your hands and your team, and then you're really taking these use cases and the outcomes and you're helping the customer to actually adopt and get into that journey onto the outcome that they had in mind, correct?
Correct, exactly. So that's really what we do. We provide consulting and guidance on diverse topics. These topics can be important to the customer. They can be general topics such as upgrades, provide health checks on the install base, etc. And there are 3 formats in which we deliver this support. The first one is what we call a discovery session. This is a session in which we assess the customer environment, their technical needs and questions, and we recommend next steps. We have accelerators, which would be the next step after a discovery session. This is a deep dive session intended to achieve precise outcomes that we have agreed on. It's also often delivered over several sessions, so this can address very specific questions and challenges, if any. And lastly, webinars. So these are one-to-many webinars targeting common and key adoption challenges with a presentation, often a demo and a Q&A.
Nice. So one-to-many, and then you take industry best practices, or what is the kind of things that you deliver in there?
Yeah, exactly. So these are, as we said, sort of a concentration of the common questions, requests, challenges that we hear from customers in our daily business, and we try to make this accessible to a broader public in order to make sure that they don't need to spend too much time looking for the answers themselves.
Wow. All right. So I would say you have a crucial role in the success of the customer. I think that's the reason why that is the title of your role, the Customer Success Manager. You also mentioned that there's a difference between the consumption and the adoption of whatever the customer purchased, right? But that's not what your team manages. Isn't that where we go into the next level when we go on the journey into expand?
Exactly. That would be the case, yes.
Great. So with that, we are moving to Gustavo. So Lisa shared with us the difference between adoption and consumption, and we're already in the next stage of the racetrack or the life cycle journey, and I'm now hosting Gustavo, who is part of the buying programs operations team. And Gustavo, what do we mean with the definition of consumption? What does it mean and what does it look like?
Hey, Stephen. That's a great question. So for Cisco, within the enterprise agreement, what we consider consumption are any entitlements that our customers either generate directly in their EA workspace platform, any entitlements that they request Cisco to provision on their behalf, and any entitlements that they purchase through our partners, along, for instance, with hardware devices. Right? So these three different avenues of generation, provisioning, and purchase is what we will consider as consumed entitlements in our customer's enterprise agreement.
All right. So that also tells me that it is important for our customers to actively use the enterprise agreement workspace or EA workspace and keep an eye on their consumption, keep an eye on are you using what you've purchased, and in the case if you are over consuming, which is a benefit of an enterprise agreement, right? It's one of the reasons why our customers are using enterprise agreements. But if they are, they would go into the process of a true forward, correct?
That's absolutely correct, yes. So I think it's very important that our customers are aware of what they are consuming and what they are purchasing or provisioning or generating within their EA. And that should be a recurring practice throughout the year. And to your point, when they do overconsume the initial entitlements they purchased at the beginning of their enterprise agreement contract, then my team will engage initially with our partners, sharing the true forward notifications and the true forward reports, or overconsumption reports, if you will. And we will start the entire true forward process with our partners and customers as soon as they do overconsume in their enterprise agreements.
So this is communicated from your team to the partner first, and then the partner to communicate with the customer, right?
Absolutely correct. So going into the process itself, even though consumption monitoring, like we said, should be a common practice and a continuous practice throughout the year, when we reach what we call T-minus 60, so 60 days prior to the enterprise agreement anniversary date, my team will create a true forward consumption report and share that report with all the relevant data points to our partners. And then the same process will repeat itself 30 days prior to the anniversary date. An updated true forward consumption report will be shared with the partners. And during that 60-day window prior to anniversary, up until the anniversary date, we have ongoing conversations with our partners and customers, validating the data or explaining the data that we share on our end. And the partners and customers have an opportunity to dispute the data we're sharing during that 60-day window prior to the anniversary date, and presenting their own views of what they consider they are consuming in their contract, right? So the goal is for us during that 60-day window to reconcile data and to get an approval from customers and partners in what we are sharing is correct and is what we are going to charge at the anniversary date.
But
right?
solid call to action
Yes,
for the customer is keep an eye. Keep an eye, make using the EA workspace part of your daily or at least monthly processes, right?
Absolutely. Either the customers directly, or if they outsource that activity and the management of their EAs to our partners, then for sure having the partners do that exercise. Then after we reach the anniversary date, and assuming we've already agreed on the consumption with the customer, my team will create and book the true forward web orders. Those web orders, once booked, will be shared with the partners, and they will remain booked pending fulfillment for an additional 60 days. So again, during this additional 60-day window, partners and customers have a new opportunity to validate the order, to validate the value that we are charging them, and to raise any disputes if necessary. Once this 60-day window period is passed, if there has been no disputes during that time frame, the order will be fulfilled, and our partners will then be invoiced according to the billing cadence and the billing model that they have selected along with the customers in their enterprise agreement contract. So ultimately, I would just say, despite the efforts of our team in this process happening 60 days prior to anniversary all the way up until 60 days after, to reinforce your message, this should be a continued practice throughout the year, so there are no surprises for our customers.
But at the same time, making sure that, dear customer, thank you for your investment in Cisco software and Cisco innovations, but let's make sure you're actually using it, right? So it's in their benefit as well. Great. All right, thank you very much, Gustavo. That was very, very helpful. We're almost already at the end of the racetrack, and we're going to the next level. We're going into renewals, and for the renewals, we're going to talk to Patricia. Patricia, welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Sainz. I'm part of the renewals team in North. And yes, thank you, Gustavo, for the. I just want to add about the renewals and just mention all the key next steps that we have. So our renewal process usually starts 6 to 9 months before. In that process, what we do is we start looking at collecting all the data from the customer. We need to realize that usually an EA renewal that has been taking place 3 or 5 years ago has a lot of changes in the data and in the install base. And we take the opportunity to really look at all the changes in that install base that it has taken place. Also, based on that, we start really looking at all the licenses, we look at the adoption, and we look at the consumption. And after that, those are the key steps that we will start looking into the meeting with the customer that will take place together with the partner.
So what are the key steps?
So the first step that we will take is next that we have all that collected data, we will organize a meeting with the partner, the customer, and in that meeting we will love to see and to discuss this with the technical team, together with the key people building the offer for that renewal. And what is very important that we realize is all the changes that has happened in the years prior the EA to be renewed. It needs to be discussed on the details with the install base. Those are really the key steps that we see in the renewal.
Because we would assume, right, an enterprise agreement is typically 3 years to 5 years, and yes, it can go up to 7 years. But we would assume that a customer has grown, they might have opened new branches, they have new employees, or they might have implemented a new way of working, or have adopted new technologies. And all of those changes need to be incorporated into your
yeah, and
renewal,
actually,
right?
you will be surprised, Steven, to see the amount of changes that we see. In most of the scenarios, the customer and the partner, they have been already involved, checking the adoption and reviewing all the elements of the consumption. But based on the changes they have, we see a big opportunity to explore what else can be done in that portfolio. Years ago, if we look at the EA portfolio, it was just covering one architecture. Right now, we are covering the program can be expanded to other architectures, which will be exploring and expanding by that investment that the customer is taking.
Yes. Because now that we have EA 3.0 as our main enterprise agreement platform, it's multi-architecture. You can have security in there, collaboration, data center. You can have outcomes like full stack observability, application experience, but of course also access to the SecureX cloud.
You name it.
All these technologies were previously not available, and now they are. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So You also mentioned that there might be some challenges in the renewals. What are the kind of challenges that you face?
The current challenges we see, and the biggest one that is usually the data. But the challenge is also an opportunity because, as you said, that change that we have seen with the program, most of the customers are not aware, and the possibilities to combine all the features and all the new suites is actually opening a new world, right, into the EA. And that's something which I think that is the biggest value that we see from the Renewal team, to bring in that you visualize in a very detailed way where we can open that discussion, right? But not only with the people that they really bought the offer before, but also with the technical teams that they have been using features across different different areas in the customer.
So, for instance, the customer was an EA 2.0 customer, and that one is expiring, but they were using other technologies, maybe in another EA or in another a la carte offer, and they didn't know that you can combine that now into one. That is
and
that's one of the
absolutely,
things, right?
and that awareness actually is not very well known. They don't realize sometimes of that richness of even the licenses that they have open. Remember that years ago,
Yeah.
probably the possibilities they had was only one suite, and if they look now,
Yeah.
and that's actually what it helps to visualize this, the amount of licenses, the complexity they have in the operations, the opportunity to fix that and also make that in a more financial offer, which is a lot more attractive. That's one of the biggest opportunities that we see. So the challenge becomes an opportunity.
Yeah. So if you buy more, you get more discount. Basically,
And
that's
absolutely. I mean, that's really one of the elements that we explore. We also, that program, the new offering with the Enterprise Agreement 3.0 offers that flexibility. And sometimes we also need to keep in mind that not all the suites and not all the features, that's something that they would like to include in the EA, but it offers the flexibility to accommodate those changes. And of course, as you said, financially, usually it's a lot more attractive. So in the end, that is what we see the biggest win, right, of moving into an EA.
Great. So what are your key takeaways for the renewals?
So I would
Patricia?
say, looking at the entire process, right, that we have been discussing today, there are three things which they stick into these key takeaways. The first one is timing. I mentioned that usually a renewal starts 9 months, 6 months, depends on the complexity, but I will always say start early. That's always because the time you're going to need the time to explore that install base. Second one,
To really get the best out
to
of it for the
maximize
customer,
and
we need to have
optimize and
time.
to get it the best for the customer.
Yeah.
The second one will be get the right people. We're talking about different technologies, different suites. So you want to have the technical, but also the business owners, and getting them together to observe and also to explore those possibilities. And the last one, I think that will be the most important thing. We're talking about data, and sometimes people think that this is about transaction. We need to look at the strategic angle. An EA, as you said, is 3, 5, or 7 years. So it's a very strategic in nature. And looking at what the customer, where the company is going, probably is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So supporting the customer in their projected future, where they want to grow, where they want to expand, where they want to invest, and where they want to innovate to be smarter, faster, and more successful than their competitor.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's why I think the
100%
partner
with you.
and the Renewal team, we will guide them to see those possibilities.
Great. Thank you very much. Patricia, that
Thank
was
you.
very helpful. All right. So with that, you've seen each of the steps of the life cycle and the life cycle journey. And you've seen what are the different elements that are happening on each of the steps and how the teams are there to support you, the customer, to support the partner, and what kind of information is there, and how do we help and drive the success of our customers together. I learned a lot, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. We have one more in the series, which is all about professional services. You'll see the invite coming for that one soon as well. But now let's open up the floor for some Q&A.
Thank you, Steven. What a delightful webinar it was. As I said on the beginning, my colleague Anders will be taking the live Q&A. I already saw some hand raisers coming from our participants. I will unmute you and expect, as I mentioned on the beginning, a delay of 5 seconds, okay? And you are free to make your questions. So I pass my word to Anders, and I will be managing the unmuted for our attendees.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you all the panelists for a great webinar, and thank you all for all the questions you already submitted, both in the chat and the Q&A panel. Please keep that up. We'll be going to the live Q&A section now. Of course, I will be the moderator. We have a lot of experts on this call, so I will try to direct the questions there, and we'll do our best to answer them. And if we can't answer live, we will definitely get back to you after this webinar. So there was a lot of question on the different topics that was covered here. Lisa, I'll come to you maybe first. There was a question as relates to how we look at adoption. You know, the question that was posted was from Dan Mead. Dan Mead, you're also welcome to raise your hand if you want to put more words on your question there. But the question was, how do you measure the success of customer success, and how do we leverage telemetry to monitor the actual adoption? So can you put some more words to that, Lisa?
Yes, hi. Thank you for the question. I'm going to assume, as I wrote in my answer, that with actual utilization, you mean actually how extensively the product is being used. And so for that, the best way indeed is to use telemetry, because telemetry is going to give you most insights about adoption maturity of the product. So it's going to give you insights where you can identify challenges, but also opportunities for that specific product. That being said, license consumption and adoption really are not the same thing. So you will get zero information, I mean, not zero, but you will get little information on license consumption if you look at telemetry. Telemetry is really there to give you keys or key indicators on the adoption maturity. And these are two different topics. So we always encourage customers to enable telemetry because it allows us to help them. So it really is there for us to be able to proactively also help you.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And I think we just had another question come in, so I hope you know, since you're on here, I'll just continue with another one we have from Nicola Brown. You know, as it relates to how we work with partners, you talked a lot about the deliverables we have from Cisco, Ask the Expert session, discovery calls, accelerators. Could you talk a bit about how we, because many times we work with the partner on these, but can you talk how we interact with partners together with customers on these?
Is the question on how we can support partners? Because I don't see it, which is why I'm asking for details. Is it how we support partners so that they can support their customers? Or is it more how we sort of do the middleman between customer and partner?
I think it's just how we work together on these engagement with customers. So what are you maybe seeing we're doing with partners today?
So I would say there's two ways we go about this. The first one is if the partner wishes, we are able to deliver these sessions to the customers. So we sort of take the lead, of course, being allowed, right? We will never do this against or if we've been indicated not to. But so we can take the lead, deliver this session in the presence of the partner, both so they're aware of the outcome, but also so that they might, use this further on. And the other use case that applies a lot is that we enable the partners. So we're able to coach them, advise them, consult them on what type of content they can then deliver to the customer, so that they reinforce their relationship to the customer instead of maybe us being in the spotlight. It really depends, but it requires a communication and a good alignment with the partner, of course.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. We don't, again, just a reminder, feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask questions live. We still have a lot of questions coming in here. Gustavo, I will come to you. We have some questions from several about that flow of who we share this True Forward report with, it being the partner first and not the customer. Could you just talk about that flow a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So by default, the information we share, so the True Forward reports and the data we present to the billing contacts of the partner that are selected when they purchase the enterprise agreement contract, right? So that's the default, either mailer or contact within the partner that receives the reports. However, we can always send it to additional partner contacts. We have a process where the partners can provide additional contacts to be included in that report, or those reports that are being shared, right? So all the notifications. Simply put, we can send it to anyone in the partner organization as long as the partner lets us know who they want to receive that. If there's no information coming from the partner, it will go directly to the billing contact that we have in the subscriptions.
Great. Okay. Thanks. And Gustavo, now that I also have you, we had a lot of questions as to this growth cap and growth allowance and so on. Could you maybe just touch on how does this impact the sort of True Forward process, the growth allowance and in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the architectures or the portfolios that do have growth allowance, the way we calculate overconsumption is, of course, the initially purchased entitlement plus the growth allowance, right? So overconsumption is only initiated after the customer consumes everything they purchased, plus the 15% additional entitlements that they receive for free from Cisco. There was also, I think, a question regarding the 105%, so the initial growth cap and how that's calculated. Yeah. And again, we calculate 105% in the case of suites that have growth allowance, the same way we calculate True Forward, right? So 105% of what they purchased plus the 15% free entitlements in the first semester.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that. Dan Mead, I saw you raised your hand. So Luis, could you please unmute Dan and we can have a live question. I think he reconnected the call here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hi, Dan.
Hey, everybody. It's just a quick question on renewals and specifically around early renewals. So we've done quite a few early renewals previously, but what I've never fully understood or seen is whether there's any kind of specific rules around when you can approach a customer about early renewing or not. Now, I've had some anecdotal things about it's got to be in the final year, for example. There's talks about it has to be increasing ACV. Like, is it just case by case, or is there any kind of data sheet or rules that you can kind of signpost me to so we can have those conversations about locking that customer in early and rather than waiting for the renewal date?
Yeah. So great question. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, so I replied to the question, but in the Q&A section. No, perfectly fine. So I think it's good that we maybe share the information as well for everyone on the call. So there are specific criteria that need to be met for early renewal, right? So Cisco considers early renewal anything above 12 months in terms of remaining term of the legacy enterprise agreement contract. And then between the 12 months, depending on when exactly you're early renewing. So if it's, for example, in the first 12 months of the current contract, for whatever reason, there's a request to renew, there are specific set of criteria that need to be met. So the renewal will have to have incremental term. The renewal will have to have incremental annual recurring revenue in its proposal. And it will have to include a new suite or a new architecture in the renewal proposal, right? Those are the criteria that need to be met if you want to early renew an enterprise agreement contract in its first year. Now, between years 2 and the final year of the contract, right? So that 12-month, let's say, threshold that we consider early renewal, you would just need to meet 2 of those 3 criteria. So either incremental term, incremental recurring revenue, or adding a new technology or a new suite to the renewal proposal. But to your point, we also work with exceptions, right? And depending on the scenario, if there's a valid reason and a valid justification to early renew, maybe not matching these criteria, it can go through an internal Cisco approval process, and it potentially can also be approved to be early renewed, right? So per standard, to your point, these are the criteria for early renewal.
Thank you, Gustavo. If I can, if I can add to that, we just closed Q2, Cisco's second quarter, and at the end of Q2, we end of sales EA 2.0, so Enterprise Agreement 2.0, which was single architecture. We are now fully dedicated to EA 3.0, which is the offer that that's the leading enterprise agreement moving forward, which is the multi-architecture, and you can now have multiple solutions, multiple portfolios in one enterprise agreement. So we see a lot of our customers and our partners now having the conversations with their customers to indeed do an early renewal. And in fact, most of our renewals that we see are actually early renewals, because we see that the conversations that our partners are having with the customers are all about adding security to their enterprise agreement, or adding full stack observability to optimize the application experience to their existing enterprise agreements. So with those conversations, you immediately hit the criteria for an early renewal already. So my call out here is look at your licenses and their expiry date, and start the conversation with your software specialist to think about a multi-architecture solution. I hope your question is answered, Dan.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thanks, Steven. Yeah, thanks, Dan, for the question. We have another question. I'll come to you, Gustavo, again. This relates to, obviously one of the benefits within the EA buying program, which is, fixed pricing for the licenses throughout the term. So we have one question here from Michael. Is that fixed pricing also for the physical hardware, or is it only related to the license? So that's one question, and also a follow-up question to that, I think also from Michael here in the chat was, as we fix prices to a certain product, if Cisco then introduces a new product and make that product end of sale, does that fixed pricing carry over? So could you maybe touch upon those two?
So to answer the first question, we call it not to exceed pricing, right? So it's not fixed in the sense that the pricing is fixed, because if for any reason Cisco reduces the list price of the products that are part of the enterprise agreement, we will charge the lowest of the two values, right? So it's called not to exceed pricing. And it only applies for the entitlements in the EA, so it does not translate to the hardware, right? Hardware would be a separate negotiation with Cisco to have either fixed pricing or fixed discounts associated to, for instance, a project that is linked to the EA. So the EA does not guarantee that. And the second question, can you remind me what the second question was? Sorry, Anders.
So basically, it's once we do an EA and we incorporate. So here, Michael is
products are replaced. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Okay. So the the software products or services that are in the enterprise agreement contract, they have fixed pricing. If there is a replacement, that will depend on the decision by the different business units, right? Either they will agree that the price needs to be the same as it's a replacement, or the price will simply be fixed at the list price available at the next EA anniversary date. What will always remain the same in those scenarios is the suite discount percentage that was agreed and approved for that particular enterprise agreement contract, right? So even if new products come in as part of that suite, the discount percentage will always be the same for all of the different products.
Great. Thanks, Gustavo. Michael, I hope that answered your questions. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to explore that a bit more. We have another question, Gustavo. I think that's also for you. You know, we have many customers that with EA 3.0, we now made it available to go in on essential tier software. We might have some customers that are looking into upgrading that to Advantage as they want to consume more and more software features from Cisco. Can you talk about how does such a midterm upgrade look like in terms of customer with an EA today?
Yeah, absolutely. So for suites that are value shift suites, right? So that they have the ability to value shift residual value or unused entitlements to offset overconsumption of new entitlements that are being consumed. Customers can simply generate, in that example, let's use a simple example, DNA switching, right? Customers that purchase DNA Essentials entitlements have not yet used them. They can simply generate DNA Advantage entitlements. During the true forward process, the residual unused DNA Essentials value will offset partially the overconsumption of DNA Advantage. And then at the true forward anniversary date, if there is still an overage to pay for the delta between the cost of Essentials versus Advantage, we would charge that cost in the true forward event, right? For scenarios where that's not where there is no value shift, we can work with our partners to modify the subscription and reduce, for example, essential entitlements and add Advantage entitlements, or simply if you're talking about tiers, upgrading tiers as well is something we can do through a modified subscription process.
All right, so that sounds very flexible. So really, as the customer to understand that need, that's the time to have a conversation with their Cisco account team and partner, that we have ways to make that possible. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks, Gustavo. Great. All right, I think I'm just looking through the questions here. I think we have gone through most of them. I do see some questions from you, Yusuf, as it relates to API integrations to Smart Account, I believe it is, and EA Workspace, and also looking at telemetry. Would you mind raising your hand maybe and come live to just expand a bit on your question? And I see Yusuf raised his hand, so Luis, if you can go ahead and unmute.
Yes.
Are you with us, Yusuf?
So really, I've been using both tools, EA Workspace and the Smart Account, and running through the reports. And to be honest, to be able to collect all, the information and filter out what's BPA, what's a la carte licenses, what's new, what's expiring, is really challenging. Yeah. So and to take that to the customers and explain, when do you have to renew. I'm running this for like a year and a half, and it's challenging. So I'm looking for any, and to present it even to the clients. If I want to present this information to an account, then it has to be representable. It cannot be Excel sheets with a lot of data and records. I can somehow have a geographical interface. And to be honest, I know about telemetry, and I know it's possible that you can block it, you can stop it anyway. But now there are services that run with telemetry automatically. I understand that, but where, as a customer experience manager, where can I see that and follow what's happening on the account.
Yeah, so what you're looking for is really to create that install base view of all the customers' licenses across EA Workspace, Smart Account, and otherwise a la carte. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, well, as I said, API integration and possibilities, what can I do with the data? I do it, I look at it, but how can I present it in a sort of slide deck or, have a tool that which, gather the information from the EA Workspace and then gather the Smart Account a la carte licenses, see what's expiring, have a GUI look of the subject, and telemetry is part of the subject. Again, I haven't seen like, telemetry updates and when this data come from DNAC or whatever other, telemetry enabled services. So all I see is now on-prem license servers trying to report their consumption, endpoints trying to report their consumption, and being flexible. And the enforcement, customers are not enforced, or operational teams are not enforced to look at, the license consumption. So again, to have a consultative look, it needs some sort of API integration, and I haven't seen that. Also, I've been using the software space lately, but the MCS, my Cisco space, I really don't see the difference there. And does it bring something extra to the table? That's the question.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think we can also connect after this session to help you out on that challenge, because what you address is multiple different data sources and how do you combine them all. And of course, Cisco have a number of dashboards that can help illustrate and visualize that sort of complexity in a simple manner for you or the customer to make a meaningful decision on it. So we can circle back. I don't know, Anna, I'll come to you. Maybe if you have any perspectives as it relates to Smart Account, EA Workspace, anything you could add here to help out Yusuf?
Yeah, I mean, for now, I don't have any updates, but definitely we can check that and come back to you later, Yusuf. What are the opportunities in the future? How to resolve that? But related actually to enterprise agreement platform, I can see as well we have a question from Mohammed that I still have not replied.
Yeah.
So maybe we still have some time, so maybe I will take that one.
Absolutely. So we'll get back to you, Yusuf, after this session. So yeah, please go ahead, Anna, with answering the question from Mohammed.
Yeah, so enterprise agreement is indeed a separate platform. It's kind of a workspace. How you can access it, Mohammed? So first of all, you need to have a smart account, right? And there you can find enterprise agreement portal, enterprise agreement workspace, so-called, yeah? So you access it, and then there you can check your entitlements that you have initially acquired. So it's really important to understand how to read the consumption report that you can find there. But that as well, one of the topics that we are covering during onboarding sessions together with our customers and partners. Yeah, so as mentioned in that report, you can see how many of the entitlements are still available for you to use. And can be generate into licenses, right? From there, you are not able to see what is the current, so to say, consumption of the devices. Yeah, you need to go, for example, if you use smart licensing, you would need to go under Smart Software Manager portal to check what are the devices that are currently using the licenses generated from the enterprise agreement workspace. Yeah, if you would like to get to know more, we can definitely think after today's webinar on that. And I can as well share with you some tutorials on the EA topic that we have released some time ago. I think that would be as well very beneficial for you to get there and get some more information.
Thank you, Anna. And I think we have one last question from Claire here as it relates to converting EA 2.0 to EA 3.0. Any specific challenges quoting wise? And I think, you know, as your question is really about converting, it's maybe we're talking a renewal or early renewal. One of the benefits in EAMP is really you can input that existing sub ID, and it actually shows for you the existing the existing scope of the EA that is today. So that helps you. I think the only thing, Claire, is that there might be some naming conventions we used in EA 2.0 that have a different name now that you could be aware of, but it really makes it quite smooth for you, the quoting process to do that. So nothing specific. I don't know anyone in the panel have any more to add to the quoting piece. No. All right.
I agree.
You agree. Great, Gustavo.
Yeah.
You're the expert. All right. Then I think we've been through all the questions. We've answered to the best of our ability. I hope you found this this investment of your time useful, and I will hand it over to Steve and Luis to close out the call. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for staying with us. Yeah, like you said, Anders, I hope you learned something, but you also enjoyed the session. We try to make it as interactive possible, and we try to give you a different and a more immersive experience moving forward. So on that, we have one more webinar coming up where we will send out the invite as soon as possible. We need to nail down the exact date. If you have any topic that you would like us to cover, please send us a message on a webinar that you would like us to present, and we will try to put that into the schedule. Secondly, we have Cisco Live coming up next week in Amsterdam. We have a booth over there with the software specialists. So if you are, or one of your colleagues is going to Cisco Live, please reach out to us, let us know, and we are more than happy to shake hands there. Yeah, with that, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank my co-panelists and my co-hosts for a great delivery. And I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a final note also, Stephen, don't forget the survey that will pop up automatically on your window. And please contact us, give us your feedback, send us your questions and your requests. If you send it by the form, we will get a quicker response to it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, the rest of the team. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.